Các bạn đang xem video Hỏi đi chờ chi, giải đáp tất cả các băn khoăn về sức khỏe liên quan đến việc sử dụng ma túy.
Common disorders are, for example, depression. Depression is very common among people who use regularly and in excess some alcohol. You have also some psychotic symptoms like hallucination or delusional ideas. When you take regularly some ice, it's very common. But also you may have some anxiety when you take regularly drug use, it's very common also. Marijuana, it's a very common experience during adolescence. Adolescents want to experiment, to have emotions, to have some feelings, so they will very frequently experiment marijuana. So after that, when consumption is very regular, of course, you may develop a dependence, an addiction to marijuana. We know that now for people who start early to smoke marijuana and smoke regularly marijuana, they more frequently develop later some schizophrenic disorder, which is really a concern because it's a severe disease. It is difficult because it has to be understood that both disorders usually interact. So you do not need to just treat mental disorder, you need to take into account drug use and to treat both disorders for the patient. And maybe the most important point is that people who have both problems usually are much more stigmatized than people with just mental health problem or people with just addictive disorder. So stigma is really a barrier for the access to the treatment, so it has to be considered also. In fact, it's the effect of the drug, of ice, and it explains the pleasure you have when you take some ice, because you have a high level of serotonin, but that means also that after that, you have no more serotonin available in the brain. So it is a dawn. It is after you stop ice, you will have a period of depression, which corresponds to the duration necessary to build again some serotonin stability. So of course not. It may release some symptoms like for marijuana, sleeping disturbances, anxiety, and for ice it is a stimulant, so when you are done you may feel some euphoria, some energy, but it will not last, and at the end, unfortunately, it will make things more complicated because you will add addictive problem to the mental health problem. And so, again, if possible, meet someone to discuss about it, meet a doctor to make an evaluation of your situation. Crazy is not a term to be used for this kind of symptoms. It's just the expression of the effect of chronic ice use. And it is specific of ice, because when you take regularly ice, you may develop some feeling of being unsafe, of being observed, or being even some people are looking at you, and it's related to its psychotic symptoms, but it may disappear very quickly if you decrease, or better, if you stop ice use after a few times, it will disappear. It may last longer. In this case, you should need to have an evaluation with a specialist and to see what is possible, what is necessary to treat yourself. It is important to remember that there is a close relationship between often mental disorder and addiction disease. If you can, try, if you meet some distress, some mental problems, try to decrease or even to stop, at least for a while, drugs, and you will be able more easily to consider what happens. I think one important point also is that it's very common that for people facing anxiety, depression, even psychotic symptoms, to manage to try to self-medicate their symptoms with drugs. Of course, they will feel some benefits in the first step, but it's important to understand that in the second step, probably it will make the things worse.
Video không khuyến khích việc sử dụng ma túy. Đừng quên like fanpage và ghé thăm website của chúng tôi để xem thêm nhiều thông tin bổ ích khác.